Hey, welcome back. You have to get the Book of Maduro first. So I have to go get that. I'm just gonna talk more about Anna Karenina. So I was just gonna summarize part 1, so I remember it. I'll give you, if you're reading this book in your school or whatever. We never read this book. I guess because it's just so long. Like you'd have to spend a whole year reading it. It's like 1,000 pages or something. We didn't really read long books like that. And then when I was in college, I just did accounting stuff, so I didn't read anything. Maybe in college you read it. So I'm going to talk about it so that I remember it, because I have nobody else to talk about it with. Okay. So it's going to sound boring when I start explaining it, but it's really cool. It's about this like aristocratic Russian extended family. We start with, I am a little bit bad with the names. It's when you're reading the book, you do kind of just remember the names because they're very specific, but I can't remember. Well, I think I remember most of them. One of the guys I can't remember. The first guy you meet, his name is like Stevia or something. It's not Stevia, but it's like Steven or something. I call him Stevia. And he has an affair with his governess, and his wife finds out. Her name is Dolly, and Stevia's sister is Anna Karenina. So she comes to visit, and she talks to Dolly, and she's like, you should love Stevia again, because he's not so bad. And she's like, oh, okay. So that's one part. Then Stevia has a friend named Levin, and they're like at some government job or something. They never work. These people never work. They're just aristocrats. It is interesting to like, is this really how, like, I guess, obviously, but like they don't do anything. They just talk about relationships and stuff, and they don't ever work. They're just rich because their parents are rich, and then they pass down their richness, and eventually they're just rich and they don't do anything. So I guess that's what. How do I get to Kakariko? Can I go left? So Dolly has a sister. I think it's Dolly's sister. Her name is Kitty. So Levin, like I talked about yesterday, Levin likes Kitty. He wants to marry Kitty. That's Dolly's sister. And Dolly's mother, they call her the princess. So I guess that's like a royal, some kind of, I'm going the wrong way. I'm such an idiot. Some kind of royal family. So I guess that's why they're rich, obviously, if she's a princess. Oh, here it is. So the princess's daughter is Kitty, and she's turning 18, so that means in Russia, I guess, like, you have this coming out party thing, and you're like, oh, I'm ready to get married because I'm 18, and have all the dudes come over and be like, I'm gonna marry you. So she has the Levin guy. The Levin guy really likes her, so he's like, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna ask her to marry me, and she says no, because he's ugly. But it's nice in the story. They're like, Tolstoy says, Levin likes her because she's like really pretty, and he's like, I'm ugly. Can anybody so amazing like somebody so ugly? And it's like, the only reason you like her is because she's pretty. So the only thing you care about looks. So yeah, if she's like you, she's not gonna like you because you're not good looking. Tolstoy kind of says that. In Levin's head, he's like, well, the only reason I like her is because she's pretty. So it's okay if she doesn't like me because I'm a doof. And then there's this other guy who's like a soldier or something. His name is Vronsky. And so, what's her name? Kitty is like, oh, I really like this Vronsky guy. He's kind of like a soldier, and he's a super buff dude. So she's like, I'll turn down Levin, and then this Vronsky guy will probably ask me to marry him, and then that'll be fine, because I kind of like him anyway. But then when they're at the ball, Vronsky asks Anna, because Anna's there, to do the special Russian dance or whatever with her. That's like a significant dance or something. Because Vronsky likes Anna. And they dance, and Anna's like, oh, I just danced with him, it was nothing. And then Kitty's like, oh, really upset. I mean, it sounds, when I explain it sounds dumb, right? But it's Tolstoy. I don't know. I guess reading a confession makes me like Tolstoy much more. So I'm like, I don't know. Maybe some other weird dude wrote this book, I'd be like, I don't like this. It's about balls and stuff. This is stupid. But I'm into it. And it's fun to learn. Well, especially because it has the accolades of like, oh, it's the best book ever written. So I'm like, oh, I read it and I kind of like it. If nobody cared about this book, then I would read it and I'd be like, oh, this is boring. But it's, I don't know. I just caught myself explaining all this stuff like this. Do you really like this? Like, yeah, it's fine. Vronsky dances with Anna, and Kitty gets all upset. And so she like goes in her room and she doesn't talk to anybody for like the rest of the ball or whatever. And another good example of Tolstoy explaining emotions well is like he explains Anna's interactions with Vronsky really well, because he's like, she doesn't, I can't explain it. It's hard. Any way I explain it's gonna sound dumb, but when he talks about it, it sounds new and interesting. Like, oh, this is a cool way to explain. Anna's married. She has kids. So obviously she can't have an affair or anything, or be married to this guy. And Vronsky knows that. But he's still just like, oh, I love you. So then the end of part 1 is Vronsky follows Anna back home because she was just visiting her sister or her brother. And so she goes back home. Her husband is like some kind of a politician or something. And can I do this thing now? Book. Give me the book. Didn't I get the book? Nah, come on. Book. Is this what you do? I don't know those stupid buttons. To open the way, go forward, you make your wish here and it will be granted. Ooh. Is he making a wish? My wish is for the green turtle things to go away. Great wish, Link. You didn't waste that one. So Vronsky follows Anna, and Anna's like, oh, she's kind of like flattered, but she's like, oh, this is kind of weird that you followed me. But Vronsky's like super buff and cool, so she likes him anyway. But she's not weirded out by him. She's like, oh, I mean, you. She rebuffs him. She rebuffs the buff. Every time she's like, no, we can't do this thing. What do you want? Why'd you come on the train? And he's like, I came to be where you are. And she's like, oh, I don't like that, but I kind of do, because you're buff. And then a dude gets on the train, gets cut in half, and then Vronsky's like, oh, I'll give him the wife some money, and Anna's like, oh, that's kind of nice. I like that you did that. I was spoiled in the Wikipedia page. Like, the first page of the Wikipedia is like, the story's about Anna and her affair with Vronsky. So, I mean, I know that's going in, but they spoiled it. They spoiled this 200-year-old book. Almost 200 years, probably. Freaking Vronsky. I was expecting at the end of part 1 for there to be a cliffhanger. Because I think this book was kind of serialized. I don't know if that's true, but... like it was released in parts. So he finished part 1 and then he would release it. And there's 8 parts. Maybe that's not true. I don't know. But I was expecting like a modern cliffhanger. Because I'm like, this is kind of a modern book. I was expecting... Vronsky's like on the train with Anna, and Anna's like, why'd you follow me? And she like shoots him. You shouldn't have come here. And then it's like, end of part 1. Whoa, what's gonna happen? Tune in next year for part 2 of Anna Karenina. But it doesn't end that way. Anna gets home and she's like, hi honey, I'm home. And her husband's like, oh, I missed you. It's good to see you. And then that's it. So I guess they hadn't invented cliffhangers yet. And then the beginning of part 2 I read is like Kitty is sick because I guess the thought is she's so sad that she doesn't have a husband or something. That's what her mom thinks. But she actually has like cholera or something. Yep. So I'm guessing Kitty probably dies. They make a big deal about how nice and pretty she is, so she gonna die. So those are all the characters. So you see there's like 10 characters already in part 1, and it's kind of fun to learn about, oh, what's this guy do, and why is she important? Oh, she's a princess? That's cool. I can't open it. Am I done? Yeah, kind of. So that'll be it for Anna Karenina. Anything else? I don't like books. Tolstoy good at explaining human emotion. 11 perceiving Kitty's discomfort. Cheating is eating a roll after. Oh, I guess that was an example of. Well, one scene that felt like kind of striking to me is there's a scene between Levin and Stevia. I don't know. I gotta look up his name. It's not Stevia. All their names are really Russian, like Orblonsky and Arkadova or whatever. Why are their names so Russian? It's like they're in Russia or something. So it was striking because it was just so warm. Like these friends, they liked each other and they were joking and don't kill me, don't kill me, don't kill me. And they were having a good conversation, like an interesting conversation about like he was being honest about it. It was like, oh, I cheated on my wife. And then Levin, who's like a young guy, I guess, he's like, I don't understand how like you're married and you cheat on somebody. It's like we just had this big meal. And then I walk past the bakery and I'm like, oh, I'm going to get a bunch of rolls. And then Stevia smiles and he's like, but like, come on. I like the way he describes it because he's like, I mean, if someone put a chocolate cake down in front of you right now, you might eat it. It looks good, right? That's how he described it. I don't know. It's kind of funny. Ow. And then that's kind of the end of that conversation. But if I was Levin, it was kind of a nice perspective to hear Levin be like, oh, why you're married and like, I don't understand. That's kind of how I feel, I guess. But it's kind of nice to have two dudes talking and be like, talk like that. And he's not just like, oh man, that girl, crazy, man. Sometimes they just be crazy like that. Levin could have, I don't know what I'm talking about, but Levin could have had a response that's like, well, if eating the chocolate cake meant destroying my entire family, I think I could resist it. But I don't know where to go, so goodbye. See you tomorrow.